Hey there guys, I am the Gacha Grump and welcome to another video. Today I've been wanting to do this one for a while. I was planning it before I got sick, and then I made the other video, obviously regarding what I thought the ecosystem was an issue at the time. Still is an issue, but it's one that came up during gameplay, so I was just like mentally there for it. Today I want to talk about what I'm enjoying about 2.4, like what has it done well, and what is the one thing oh, my throat has done poorly. I'm sorry, I apologise, I'm still recovering from being sick, obviously. What are the things it's done well? I think one of the phenomenal things that it manages to really do well, as we saw in the trailer to 2.4, which was phenomenal, got me hyped, got all the community hyped, the world of Septimont. The world of Septimont is beautiful. This is one of the outskirts of the mainland. It is absolutely beautiful. Like, look at that. Look at the way the clouds bleed like a painting. And then the layout. Even this desolate place is gorgeous. The glowing light there. We've got that. We've got like a little lighthouse over there, and a broken coliseum up there. I think the world has just been absolutely phenomenal. I think that the lore regarding it being almost the polar opposite to Raguna. Raguna obviously being a very faith-based capital. It is obviously governed by the church, as corrupt as they are, and led by the Imperator, or what they believe to be the Imperator. Definitely not the Threnodian before we intervened. And definitely the church is entirely good, guys, we swear. But yeah, I like the fact that it's the opposite. It is more of an atheist capital. I like the fact that it contrasts in the sense that instead of worshipping a god, even if they recognise that the Imperator did come to this land and befriended their guardian spirit, which is the thing over here, which is the lioness, not this one, sorry, it is the Lioness of Glory. That is their guardian spirit of the land, what came to be from their battle cries, from their glory, from their excitement for battle, and that came to be. And the Imperator blessed their land, but they've not seen them for a while. We can only assume that this is because of the Threnodians' intervention, obviously, which was stopped in the prior patch, or at least delayed. And then, yeah, I think the world is phenomenal, and the lore bits there are phenomenal. The story so far is absolutely great. I'm not going to go too much into story yet. I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler section at the end, just for bits I do want to discuss. At the minute, I want to focus more on, obviously, the world being absolutely phenomenal. What else? What ties into the world is something that I believe Wuthering Waves has always, and I mean always, been better at than just about any other gacha on the market, especially these third-person action role-playing ones, kind of like, obviously, you got Genshin's, this. I can't include a Theory Restart, but you know what I'm talking about, Infinity Nikkei, if you wanted to include that, is the exploration. Once again, the exploration is phenomenal. We've got bits around the map to collect, we've got different quest bits. Of course, we still have our flight on our wings, which is still one of the best additions in basically in the gacha games. You can see a Sonic casket down there. There's a small little nod to the guys that we gave the Sonic caskets to, the Echoes. They appear here at the other side of the mirror, which is pretty funny. So we get to see a little bit of a continuation there. We also, I want to talk about, I'm going to go a little bit into the story, it's not going to be spoilers, is Looper, our new companion, the fiery gladiator that believes in all things fair, all things truthful. She believes in glory, she believes in earning her right and her place at the top. And we see that as we at the beginning of the story. There's a small spoiler bit here. Obviously not going to go too far into it. If you've started the story, you'll know this, so I don't class it too much as a spoiler. But basically, Looper is chasing someone down, ends up running into us. We deflect a couple of attacks of hers. She finds us intriguing because obviously she's a champion gladiator and we just parried her quite easily. She was chasing down her teammate, and it's discovered that the family that took her in and their ties to their team was rigging fights and throwing fights for money, which obviously goes against her core principles, which we see that she has that fiery spirit for glory and honest fights, as is the spirit of Septimont. It's a world and a place governed on the strong thrive, but at the same time, it's seen as a culture of like glory. So the strong thrive, but you do it righteously, you do it fairly. If you lose, you take it with grace. If you win, you you also do it with grace, and it's going to tie to a little bit in the spoiler sections, which is a side story I wanted to talk about, but that is not here or there right now. But yeah, I think Loop is great. Her energetic personality, she's a little bit flirty, she's a little bit excitable, a tiny little bit childlike, but you get to see some depth to her deeper into the story as we go along. We also see other story beats, obviously, that make it even more interesting. As to continue from that, this story, so interesting so far. This I might discuss it a little more in the spoiler section, but the story kept me going and going and going. I wanted more, and I do want more. It's just genuinely, it was one of those where you feel a little, you just want to keep going, and I've completed it, and best way I can describe it is I was disappointed, but not a bad disappointment. I was disappointed because I wanted more. It kept me chomping at the bit. It kept me right to the end, right to the cliffhanger. That I wanted more, and unfortunately we're gonna have to wait a patch or two for it. But hey, it was absolutely fantastic. Of course, the visuals are phenomenal, which is again the first thing we see. We walk up these stairs, we walk through this archway, and it's just Septimont in the background with the sun raining down, and it is beautiful. It's kind of like a dawn, or yeah, I'd probably say dawn, and you can see the sun in the background radiating down, and it just lightens up the land, and it is absolutely beautiful. There is a VOD of that. It's genuinely phenomenally beautiful. It is crazy. One of my other favourite features, and again, I apologise for clearing my throat, I'm still recovering a little bit, is, let me see if I've got any of the boxes. I don't, but basically, once you kill the gladiators, which are the people of this land that summon echoes to fight alongside them, as we do in the story, they drop boxes similar to this, but it drops a specific element, and then it'll give you some shell credits, it gives you some upgrade materials, which is great, and it's just nice. It'll drop it of a specific element. It can be a 1 or a 3 star, it can have any substats, but it will always be of like Glacio, Aero, Pyro, whatever, you know what I mean. I like that as a change. I hope they do it with a lot more things, but especially with the gladiators, because obviously we're not going to take the human souls. You never know. Maybe we can get human echoes, and that's a whole different kind of power world kind of thing. But yeah, and it's just good. I think that's a great change. And yeah, again, the exploration, I don't know what is causing that. The free flying, the story, and the side quest. I've only done a few of them, which relates to this in the background, which is why I'm stood here. But basically, the side quests, again, great. I think Wuthering Waves has always been fantastic for its capability to tell stories in the side story and keep them interesting with characters that we want to know more about and everything. But yeah, I think they're the main aspects. I think it's just mostly positives, with my one caveat to that being, and I don't know if it's only a small thing, but I don't know if anyone else has had it. Basically, you get intercut bits where it's like, it's black screen, white text, but I found that they were skipping very quickly, like, even without auto on, because that turned auto off, because that still has a bug with the dialogue skipping, which is something they need to fix. Please, Kuro, fix it, where sometimes you skip a line of dialogue because auto just insta-skips 1/3 into the first line. And yeah, but this black text just insta-skips, and it's sad because it's sometimes context clues, sometimes it's story or dialogue that maybe an entity we can't see is telling us, whether it's like a spirit or like a god speaking to us in whispers, but it often gets told through that as to not give too much away. But the issue is, we had 8-line paragraph and it was skipping after 2 seconds. Bro, I can't read that quickly, especially when I'm vocalizing my speech to an audience when I was live streaming, and I was obviously reading alongside it, because so obviously if there's headphone listeners that weren't paying attention to the screen, they're still getting the context of what's going on, they're not missing too much. But yeah, that is my biggest downside. I think overall the story's, especially for a gacha game, it's probably about a 9 so far. I'm excited to see where it goes. Can't call it a 10 because then it'd have to be perfect, and obviously with the dialogue skips and things like that, I can't call it perfect. But the story itself is fantastic, so are the side stories, and I'm looking forward to what comes next, honestly. and that is got me excited. And I think that's what the beginning of a story does. Like a patch 2.4, when it's starting to a new story, it has to get its hooks in you. And boy, did Septimont get its hooks in me. I've not done Masters of Exploration because I've been wanting to do it on stream, but I have done 45% on Septimont. But as you can see, I'm very much enjoying it. And yeah, so I'm going to call this bit here. I'm going to pass this along to the spoiler section. So those of you who don't want to watch the spoiler section, it's just going to be that and then the ending, so you can end the video here. If that's the case, like if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Thank you guys, and now onto the spoiler section. See you soon. Hey there guys, and welcome to the spoiler section. This is symbolised by the arrival of Cartothea rather than Rover. She is going to be accompanying us today on the spoilers territory. But yeah, so my spoilers bit for this is I wanted to go into one of the side quests. It's called Guardian. It's a Guardian Tower. I need to quickly double check the name. Guardian Tower. Where sky is clear and glory shines. Basically, it's a two-part quest. You do the Guardian Tower first. I came across it. So, do you see the damage to this tower? One of the reasons I didn't want to spoil it, because people still want to see it, obviously. But basically, we're following a story of Flavio and a couple. There's another gen, I can't remember his name, and there's something that we're trying to protect or release called I think it's pronounced. It is I can't remember what they are called, but it's like a sky scourge or something, and it's basically a scourge wing, I believe it was actually, and basically that's like this beautiful kind of wyvern. It's like wings, legs, its wings are beautiful, and basically this story follows a person who hears the screams her name is Tulia. She hears the screams of something within the tower, and we basically travel up doing different puzzle bits using the new mechanics of Septimont with the sword that cuts through things. And basically we go further up, we learn the story of betrayal, we learn the story that basically when Flavio stayed to his companions, and it was then that it's decided it wanted to stand and stay with Flavio to see out his ending, and basically see where he finishes in his glory. But basically, as the Black Tide came in, it was bound and trapped by the Black Tide, by the hatred it wrought, and it was like chained within the tower here. And basically, we use the new spirit armor mechanic to cut through its bindings and release it. And the really cool thing is, we get a cutscene that cuts clean through this part of the tower. And as you can see, it does a lot of damage to the surrounding area. But it's obviously just one of those things where it's like, it is once again where WuWa is showing itself to be amazing. Like, you can see the top of the tower down there, right? Like, that is the top of the tower that fell. And basically, I think for a side quest especially, for it to have a cutscene like that, for it to have cool story elements that kept me engaged regarding character, his bound partner, because basically I think his name is Flavio. Basically Flavio is basically calls out it's like adhd, so I don't know how you'd pronounce it, but basically calls it out for challenges it. Instead they form a partnership because it respects his challenge. And yeah, basically it's about us helping Flavio's spirit and guiding Tulia through the story because she wants to learn more. And we release a scourge wing that flies off into this beautiful red sky, and we take down this with the attack. And it's one of those things where it's when a side story of whole thing has this much of a game-changing element where it's like it literally changes the world. I don't know if it does it on the map as well, I'm not sure, but it changes the world physically. It's a side quest. It's just really cool that they showed this interest. I wanted to put it in the spoiler section because I didn't want to let anyone miss out their first time with this story, because I think it's a story worth listening to, a story worth playing, and a story worth experiencing. And basically, on as well as that, so that's the side story. Again, that's just one of the many examples of great side stories. I think Raguna had some of the Renacita, sorry, specifically had some of the best side stories and exploration stories. I'm talking about the things like this one where we're flying along and we're flying through the rings, one of those challenges, and we fly alongside Lorelei, and that's really cool. Like, and it's really chill vibes kind of thing. But yeah, I wanted to talk as well in this spoiler section quite a bit about, maybe not quite a bit, I don't want to get too far into it, but into the interesting things I mentioned within the story elements of the main story. Basically about Lupa, and how we keep seeing visions of her, and basically, obviously, the Fraxidus doing their Fraxidus things, is actively trying to make everything worse, and we get to see Lupa's story and how she ties to one of the first. I can't remember what the position was. I think it was. I can't remember. It begins with but it's the position Augusta holds, and she was one of the gladiators that who came from Raguna, which was uncommon, and pushed her way all the way to win the finals before disappearing. And her story arc's interesting. Her name is Maya, and basically, as she's fighting through and in between rounds, she's crying, she's breaking down, she's hearing voices, and it's very much similar to what Cartathea went through. My personal belief is that it's the voice of a Threnodian, because this entire place has elements of basically duality in terms of, like, Cartathea has come here as Fleur de Lis, and she felt weird frequencies from here, as did we, and basically Fleur de Lis is stuck in one timeline and we're stuck in another, and we're coordinating as best we can to try and fight whatever we're against, which seems to be Maya, who is the champion, obviously, and we see basically Lupa's visage fade, and we see Maya before it breaks back into this kind of reality. It's like I say, it's a very interesting story, and basically we get to learn a little bit about Maya's story as a fallen hero who suffers from whispers and hysteria, which I believe again is a Threnodian, because it's very similar. I could be wrong, but I believe that was a Threnodian. Yeah, so we learn more and we realise everything's not as it seems. I'm assuming we'll learn more as we go on, obviously, but it's one of those where the stories genuinely tie me on that fact alone. Learning who Maya is, what's happening with this place, is it real? What part of it's real? Is it an altered reality? Is it maybe not as beautiful as it looks? Is it something that's manipulated and not as quite as beautiful on the surface as you might think? But yeah, I wanted to discuss that because these two elements, the side stories and that main story element, really drag me into the world of Septimont, and it's one of those that I think will bring a lot of people who get to this point in to keep playing. And yeah, I think again I think it's probably a 9 out of 10. The world exploration is basically always 10 out of 10. There's so much to do. Our wings are absolutely wonderful, obviously, the way we can just fly around, and we have so much of a playground to play with. We've got different places we can fly to. We've got different challenges to do with regarding chests and stories and everything like that. But yeah, if you've played through to the ending of 2.4 and done some of the side quests, leave what you thought down below. Do you agree that with me? I think it's a 9 out of 10. Maybe you disagree. What did you enjoy about the patch? What did you not enjoy about the patch? Is there something I'm overlooking? Is there a point of view that you've got that I might agree with but not heard of, or disagree with, and again I've not heard? But yeah, if again, as we said before we came to the spoiler section, if you like the video, like the video. If you dislike it. Leave a comment if you would. Subscribe if you will. And thank you very much, guys. I have been the Gacha Grump, wishing you a wonderful day from Septimont. Take care, guys. Bye.